What's up guys, it's Tajae here back with another Last of Us Part 2 informational video, and today I actually want to retouch on a topic that we've talked about like twice in the past, and that's regarding if The Last of Us Part 2 will receive a DLC in some form or fashion after the game comes out at some point in time. Now, the reason why this was actually like something of relevance that we talked about is because if you guys already don't know, The Last of Us Left Behind was pretty much a DLC that came out after The Last of Us, and then we also had a DLC that came out for Uncharted 4, which became a standalone video game, which was Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. So since Naughty Dog actually repeated history twice with their last two projects and made DLCs, which one became a standalone game, it only felt very plausible that Indy would do the same exact thing for The Last of Us Part 2. But now we actually indeed have some insight over from Naughty Dog regarding The Last of Us Part 2 DLC, and that came from Neil Druckmann himself, and he actually touched on this concept whenever they were raising money for the Australian bushfires during the Left Behind live stream. So pretty much I'm gonna roll that clip and I'm gonna let you see what Scott Lowe said to Neil Druckmann in his response towards Scott Lowe's question, which was regarding the scope and the size of the Left Behind DLC.
There was a question about the scope of Left Behind and whether it was always intended to be this kind of short stories chapter, or was like similar to the experience we went through for Lost Legacy and kind of a story idea that became too big for, you know, this kind of chapter. Was there ever a time where you felt like this can't fit into a short story chapter? Or would,
Well, we've never gone smaller. That's not our problem. Our problem is that we always go bigger.
Yeah.
And this just grew, but not to the point where we're like, I guess at the time we didn't even consider it. Maybe today it'd be different because of digital distribution. We would think about, oh, this could stand on its own. It doesn't have to be DLC. It's just that also the nature of DLC, like people don't, for better or worse, they just don't play it as much. You don't think about it as much. And I think it's just because DLC traditionally has been these kind of unimportant stories. But yeah, if we were to do something like this again, we would make it as a standalone. I don't think we would do it as DLC.
Yeah.
So first, I actually just want to say that I agree with what Neil Druckmann said about DLCs being something that feels like is not really woven into the story. Like, that's not something I've really thought to myself about before, but now that he's like mentioned that, I kind of could definitely see where he's coming from. So I just want to say I agree on that. But anyways, Neil Druckmann said that he wouldn't do another DLC, that he'd rather just have it be a standalone. So that pretty much confirms that The Last of Us Part 2 will not have a DLC, but that leaves up in the air that there could possibly be a mini standalone game for it. Now, me personally, I don't think there'll be a standalone because he never said that there will be a standalone, but technically, since he never said there was or there wasn't, you could say that it's up in the air, that it's possible, but I just want to say that I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm just going into the mindset that The Last of Us Part 2 would just be that one game, and it'll be that base thing, and then it'll be over with. And it just depends on how the story goes also, because we haven't really played the game yet, so they probably could have a space for a standalone, but we'll just have to see. But just to clarify why I say we'll have to see like the story, like how that plays out, is because Neil Druckmann said that The Last of Us is, you know, Ellie and Joel's story. The Last of Us isn't The Last of Us without Ellie and Joel. And whenever they were coming up with Part 2, they actually thought about if they were to leave these two characters, and they decided that ultimately that would not be right. So I'm pretty sure we won't get a standalone without these two characters. And I feel like if Ellie or Joel dies in this game, that will be the end of the Last of Us series, because I feel like you can't have a Part 3 if you don't have both the characters, because as Neil Druckmann said, the game is these two characters, and I feel like without one of them you can't really do it. But yeah, that should conclude today's video. I thought that was really interesting since that's something that we have touched on in the past, but instead at the time we went like way deeper into it, way longer video about it. But I just want to make this like short and simple, give the little quick update on it, since again I thought it was really interesting. But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think The Last of Us Part 2 has an inevitable standalone coming? Do you think Neil Druckmann even flirt around with the game if it didn't have Ellie or Joel, despite what he said? I'd really like to know your thoughts, since I did share mine and you guys always listen to my thoughts. It's always fun to read the comments and see what you guys think. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, if you could be sure to leave a like, because it really supports me, as well as subscribe to the channel if you're brand new for more Last of Us Part 2 news and updates. And I'll see you guys next time with another banger.